Welcome back to another Frugal Friday. On the YouTube channel is Fire for Me. I'm Jesse, and this is my wife Kim, and we're going through the book, The Art of Frugal Hedonism. Kim, what chapter are we on this week?
We are on chapter 11, which is to beware fake frugal. Just a note to all of you tuning in, we're sitting outside on our porch because it's a beautiful summer day, but you might hear the wind rustling through the nearby maple tree, and our neighbors are outside around a fire right now. So if you hear some of the noises of the neighborhood, just know we hear it too, and we're enjoying this summer evening on the porch. All right, let's dive in. Beware fake frugal. Listen up. This is quite an important bit. Maybe it should have gone right up the front, right next to the definition of frugality, because this is actually a subclause of that very definition. If it is cheap to buy, but at the expense of someone or something else, it's fake frugal, and it's just not fair. Factory farmed eggs, endless brand new clothes made by tired women in faraway countries, value packs of disposable razors that end up as bobbing carpets in the North Atlantic. You get the gist. Buying cheap disposable or crummy quality things that quickly need replacing is not only fake frugal because it leads you to spending more money later on, but because it leads us all living in a very non-hedonism compatible rubbish dump. An example might be those can openers that only cost $2.99 but aren't actually can openers, just something kind of shaped like a can opener. Or all that furniture which looks flash in the store but sags as soon as damp weather comes along. When part of it pops off because somebody looks at it too hard, you can't even nail it back on because the particle board takes on the structural integrity of bran flakes after 3 weeks out of the factory. You get all irritated and wan feeling about the shoddiness of things, stick it in a dark corner of the garage hoping it will magically disappear, and go out shopping for another cupboard. This equation applies to health too. If the El Cheapo bread you eat as a staple is so stripped of nutrients that you end up with a depressed immune system leading to more sick days and being forced to down pricey supplements, it's not really cheap bread anymore, is it? The price tags on foods that are produced conscientiously might seem steep compared to those of industrial foods, but consider this. Modern, first world citizens spend a teensy percentage of our incomes on stocking our pantries compared to any other culture in the history of time, and we still seem to think it costs us too much. When in a store deciding what to buy, most of us compare prices between competing products. And if the organic yogurt is a couple of dollars more, that can feel too expensive. Yet this is generally a warped lens to scrutinize those couple of dollars through, given that most of us wouldn't notice that amount of money when compared to the sums we spend on a muffin and a coffee later on in the day, at the bottle shop on the way home, or going online to buy phone credit or a concert or plane ticket that night. Your authors did fluff around over buying organic nuts for a while because the price difference seemed astronomical. But once we thought about it, it still struck us as a fair price for a nut well grown, so we made the switch. Now we just eat fewer nuts, and they seem more exquisite. Folks of yore barely wasted a scrap of food because they handed over respectable sums of money for it. These higher prices reflected the true costs of producing food much more accurately. Back when farms were all small and organic, farmers had to preserve the health of their soil and water using methods that could be sustained by the local area if they wished to keep on farming there. They passed on these ecosystem maintenance costs along with the other costs of production. For the last few decades, large-scale industrialized farming has increasingly been deferred these costs, such as loss of topsoil, carbon emissions, and fertilizer pollution, to be dealt with by poorer peoples and future generations. If we stop wasting money on wasting food and spend it on giving farmers a better sum for their wares, it means they aren't stuck using damaging systems just to be able to make a living. When a merchant banker pays $300,000 for a beat-up old piece of sports or music memorabilia, it's because there's a story embedded in that object that they like thinking about. Similarly, when we buy goods produced with real care and big-picture intelligence, they come with a backstory rich with positive feedback loops that feel pretty damn good to think about, which makes their purchase seem like a bigger, more satisfying experience. By extension, if you buy things that rely on continued destruction or suffering for their production, you're paying for a depressing backstory, which you'll probably end up blocking out any awareness of, leaving you with no story and a product that feels rather one-dimensional. you are also forced to create dark taboo corners in your mind, which are surely a hindrance to gloriously expansive feelings of wonder and connectivity. That's quite a sacrifice to make. In a nutshell, we foolish humans cheat ourselves when we try to save money by buying crap stuff that requires us to spend more money replacing it, or leads to us living with crap health on a crap planet, since what we were trying to do in the first place was spend less money and have a good life. Holistic thinking and all that. Let's get stuck into it.
Sounds right up your alley.
It is. I think it's a principle we've covered actually on our daily doses of frugality, if you've tuned into that segment. They talked a little bit about this with the appliances section, and how when you're doing your research, maybe it makes more sense to spend a little bit more money on something that's going to last you 10 years rather than buying something at a lesser price now that's only going to last you, 3 or 5 years.
Sure, yeah. I think, too, it seems to really be hitting on the, not necessarily just spending more on something because it's more expensive and nicer, but spending more on something because it's better for your environment, better for the planet, better for, you, if it's, for health reasons, better for all sorts of things. So, obviously, buying a, Apple product isn't necessarily better for the environment than it is to buy, a PC, but it's going to cost you more. So, I think some people might use this the wrong way and maybe be like, well, I've got to get the more expensive thing because it's, a better quality and it's going to last longer. So.
Sure. And I think to your point, it isn't, right, just the financial cost. It's all of the other costs, the cost to the planet, the cost to other people. I know when I was first starting to drink coffee again, which is something that I go back and forth on, it was really important to me to get a sustainable brand of coffee that wasn't harvested using slave labor and deforesting the planet. And so I spend a lot more money on my coffee than I probably would have before, simply because I want to have coffee that, when I do have coffee, I want it to be coffee that isn't contributing to the degradation of our planet. And I think there's a lot of other products too where you have to make that consideration. I think clothing is a big one. I mean, fast fashion is something that's really gotten a lot of buzz in the last several years, where you can go to Old Navy or Forever 21 or some of the other brands, and you can pick up something that's maybe cute and trendy and you'll wear it for a season, but someone literally had backbreaking work to make that piece, hardly making any money, not being able to provide for their families. And so when you think about that as a conscientious consumer, it makes more sense to spend a little bit more money to get a product that wasn't created with the literal blood, sweat, and tears of someone who's being held in slavery. So I think there's several products that are that way. I think anytime you're shopping for electronics, unfortunately, most components within electronics are harvested unethically. So do your best when you can. But there's other products, with your fashion, find sustainable brands, buy things used when you can instead of buying something new. And just kind of check into the things that you use on the regular. Chocolate is one of them. Coffee is another one. Because yes, maybe it costs you a little bit more, but if you have the ability to afford that and you're alleviating suffering for someone else, I say try and do it when you can.
Yeah. We really, unfortunately, live in a very disposable society, and it's, sometimes cheaper to buy new than it is to fix or repair. Or it's cheaper to buy 10 of one item that's going to wear out, faster, but you can afford to buy 10 of them than it is to buy the one item that maybe you can repair and make last longer. So, as we start to, do better with our money and save in different ways, maybe we can take some of that savings and continue to be frugal, but, spend some of that savings in a more ethical way. So, but, well, that's very interesting. I think maybe you guys can share with us some of the ways that you've chosen in your life to be frugal, but yet still be ethical in the same way. We'd love to hear, your different ways. Some of those Kim mentioned already. I think you do it with your coffee. You do it with the shampoo, I believe. And obviously with Kim being vegan, she thinks about it a lot when it comes to animals and products that might be hurting animals and whatnot. But there's a lot of different ways you can be more ethical. So share with us in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. Is there anything else you want to add before we end?
I don't think there is.
All right, great. Well, you guys have a good week or a good weekend, I guess. It's Friday, and we will see you in our next video.
Bye.